All right, I see a few people starting to enter the webinar. Welcome, everybody. We're going to give the rest of our registrants here a couple more minutes to join. So just give us about 2 minutes and then we'll get started. If you're just joining us, we're just going to give everybody about 2 minutes to get on the line. Then we're going to get started with the session. Thanks. All right, that looks like it's about everybody right now. Okay, so welcome to today's session. Thank you for joining us today. If you haven't joined one of these sessions before, these were initially created as an opportunity for our community of users to come together, see what's new in our product. And little by little, we've turned this into a monthly session where we take a deep dive on one specific aspect, one specific functionality of our platform. But this is kind of a free, informal session, right? So we want this to be interactive. You can see at the bottom of the window, there's a Q&A. Please submit your questions, and I'll be here to make sure we route our questions to our speaker. I'm joined today by Amir Reshkovsky. He is a senior DevOps engineer on the Quali team. Amir spends almost all of his time working directly with our customers. So if you have a question about Torque, about platform engineering, he should be able to answer it. He knows much more about it than me, so I'll make sure to pass your questions on to him. Without any further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Amir.
Thank you. Okay, so hi everyone, and thanks for joining us wherever you're from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So I'm going to take a minute to talk about the issue and the problem before we dive into the solution. So of course, the cloud solves us many problems, but it's not a perfect world. It also introduces some challenges. And one of them is governance. How do I keep everything nice and tidy under control? How do I control who does what in my cloud account? So that's definitely an issue. And it becomes even more challenging and difficult at scale, meaning scale, it's a little bit of a buzzword, but I mean it in the context of, your company grows, so your teams are getting bigger. You will have more users, more workloads, more cloud accounts, maybe even multi-cloud. So it's definitely an issue. And I'm saying that from my own experience as a DevOps engineer. It's very easy to start losing control at that point. You'll eventually find yourself asking, okay, whose VM dead anyway? Why is this not tagged? And you'll eventually find yourself turning off VMs at night that people forgot about them, and so on and so on. That's just a bad place to be at, because that's literally money goes into waste. So I think the problem is clear, but what would be the solution for that? So ideally, I'd like to use platform engineering and use some sort of platform that will replace direct access to the cloud. My end users, my testers, my developers, they will use that platform instead of going directly to the cloud. And they will get access to environments they need through the platform. They could provision resources, through the platform. And it will also have a layer of self-service. So no more tickets to IT or DevOps team to get environments. And it will also have some layer of governance. So it will enforce policies, tags automatically, and so on and so on. Now, it may sound a little bit too good to be true, but it's true, it's real. It's called Torque. Our platform is Quali. And I'm going to do a really, really short demo just so we'll be aligned on the same page here and have the same language. So I'm going to take just a minute here. Okay, so I'm going to log in as an end user. So we'll experience what he experiences. So as an end user, I'm seeing this marketplace of environments, if you like. It's a self-service catalog of environments. Each box here represents an environment, which means a set of resources from different technology stacks like Terraform or CloudFormation, and some configuration in between to make it all work, like scripts in Python or Shell or Ansible, and so on. And I can just click on it, and the environment will be provisioned automatically through Torque. Now, say that I'm a tester, for instance, so I'll have environments that are relevant only for me. But if I'm a developer, I'll probably need different marketplace completely. So we have that separation, logical separation between teams or lines of products, lines of businesses, sorry, or even products. We call it spaces in Torque. So I'm gonna switch to a different space here in the left pane. Similar to namespaces in Kubernetes, provides logical separation, and I'm seeing a completely different marketplace. It's a different space that I was invited to, so I have access to it. It might even be a completely different cloud account behind the scenes. So let's say that I need this web game on S3. I'm gonna click on it. I'm gonna click launch. Okay, so with this launch form, I can choose a name for this environment, but I can also choose a duration. So that's one aspect of governance that I'm seeing already from the launch form. I can set the duration of the environment or set it to be always on if needed. Now later on, I will show you how we can customize the duration settings per each blueprint, per each reusable template that my end users will use to launch environments. I can also add collaborators, people that will be able to join this environment and get access to the resources in the environment. So let's say that 2 hours is okay. I'm going to click next. So in the next view, I can pass parameters to the environment that they will later be used by the technology, the automation components in the environment, like Terraform. So the values will be injected to Terraform variables, for instance, or if it's Helm, then Helm values, and so on. I can pass, I can choose the tags that will be applied to the environment. Now, tags are important, right, for better visibility, for other automation that we're doing, for cost, like cost collection and so on. So it's important. And some workflows that I can add to this environment. Workflows are basically automated scheduled day-to operations that can be added, like turning off VMs at night or at the weekend when nobody's working, hopefully. Okay, so I'm gonna click launch. Okay, so I'm gonna do a quick walkthrough in this view, just so we'll get a look and feel of what's going on right now. Then we'll deep dive into governance. So in the left corner, I can see some metadata on the environment, like the name, the blueprint, name of the reusable template that was used to launch this environment from. I can see who launched it, actual cost, collaborators, uptime, time remaining. In the right corner, I can extend the environment duration if I'm allowed to, again, depends on the policy for this blueprint, or end it completely right now manually without having to wait for the duration. Beneath, I have some tabs with very useful information like activity feed, what happened in the environment. You can see real-time logs. For instance, these are Terraform models that Torque provisions behind the scenes right now. So I can see the logs in real time. quick access links. Later on, when the environment will be up, I will have another output from the environment, and you can see the inputs that were passed to this environment. Workflows, the automated day-to operations I mentioned earlier. We'll discuss these more thoroughly down the road. We see the tags that were applied to this environment, and updates and drift changes. Basically, we can detect code updates if the environment was already up and running while someone pushed a new code. That's okay, no problem. We detect it, and you can redeploy the environment without having to turn it off or tear it down. And drift changes, which is basically a change in the concrete state of the environment in the cloud compared to the desired result of this environment as configured in the infrastructure as code in the Terraform models. Okay, so the environment is up and running. I have this output of the environment. It's basically, we provision an S3 bucket that consumes a KMS key. So there's a dependency. As an orchestrator, we make sure that we provision resources in the right order. And there's a very standard way of passing outputs from one grain to another, one automation component to another. So I've got this output from the environment, and I got this cute little Tetris game. So as an end user, I don't need to have the knowledge to do such things in the cloud. So it's completely self-service. I didn't need to have access to the cloud, which is a best practice. You don't want your end users to do whatever they want in the cloud. And if you can, through such a platform, you can just block access to the cloud for them. So that was it about Torque, the core basics, really the tip of the iceberg. Now let's deep dive into governance. So I'm going to log in again. I'm going to switch sessions. I'm going to log in right here as an admin. I'm going to the Blueprints catalog again. Now, as an end user, I could launch this web game on S3, right? If I click on launch right here, I could tweak with the duration, set it even to be always on, and I could extend it more and more and more. But as a DevOps engineer, as the owner of the infrastructure at Quali, for instance, I want to have finer control on each and every environment. Maybe one environment is much more expensive than other. One is more resource consuming. So I want to have that granular control on the duration settings of each and every environment. So I can do that through the blueprints right here in the design. You can go to blueprints. I'm gonna look for that blueprint. Okay, click on it, and in policies, I can manage the blueprints policies. I can set a limit on active environments, concurrent active environments for this specific blueprint, or just say that it's unlimited, that's okay. I can set it to be ephemeral or always on. And if it's ephemeral, I can also limit or not the maximum duration, what will be the default duration for an end user, and if it can be extended or not. And these kind of policies are per blueprint. That means that it's per environment, because some environments will be different. You might want to have different settings per environment. But I want to take it up a notch, because it's not just duration. Of course, duration translates directly to cost in the cloud, because every minute in the cloud costs us money. But sometimes it's not the only concern. Sometimes compliance is a concern. Security is a concern. Sometimes you'd like to, for instance, if you can't work outside of the US, then you'd like to limit other regions in AWS, for instance. Or you want to limit sizes of VM instance sizes in Azure. Or maybe limit the Terraform providers, so your users will use only the official ones from HashiCorp. Now, the way we do it is through policies. And we provide some out-of-the-box templates that you can use to write policies. And we use OPA for that, Open Policy Agent. It's right here under the account settings, policies. And we provide some out-of-the-box templates for you to use. Okay, we already have some here configured, like cost, like allowed providers. The OPA, Open Policy Agent, uses Rego syntax to create those templates. Since it's fully customizable, really there's endless room for options. The most classic classic use cases are what I mentioned, like duration or cost, region, VM sizes, and so on, but it's fully customizable. And policies can be applied on specific spaces. So you can have one policy for one team, different policy for your developers, different policies for your testers, and so on and so on. Or they can be globally scoped on your entire account. Okay, so I want to talk about tags. So tags are also an issue because we use tags all the time for better visibility, for cost collection. Maybe you want to have some sort of automation based on tags, like deleting resources and so on. Of course, it's not that a concern with such a platform like Torque, because we will delete such resources of environments once you hit the duration. But still, tags are very useful. And because we act as a gatekeeper, basically any type of resource that will be created in the cloud will be tagged if it's through Torque, if it's through the platform. Okay, and tags can be scoped to blueprint, an environment, or space, or even your entire account. There are 4 different scopes. Say that if it's a blueprint, then I can even set the allowed values for this tag or a default value. For instance, when I went to launch an environment, say this one, so I can choose the activity type, that's one tag, but you can add as many tags as you need. All right. So I think I mentioned workflows, which are automated day-to operations like powering off VMs, restarts, and so on and so on. So we can add workflows. They can be scheduled or just added to an environment so they can be later on manually executed. Okay. And the impact of such a feature is immediate because it helps you cut costs in the cloud, turning off VMs that no one is using at night or on the weekend, and so on and so on. So it's a very useful feature, and it's also part of the governance layer that we provide in Torque. And another feature I want to show you is the approval flows. Basically, when I tried to launch that environment, I launched it for 2 hours, I think, and everything was okay. It went fine, no problems with that. Now, there is a policy applied on this blueprint that prevents me from launching it for like 2 days. So if I try to launch it right now, let's say that I need it for 2 days. Okay, so I'm blocked. The end user, anyone who's trying to launch this environment with the duration that is longer than the policy will be blocked. But sometimes I like to call it a buffer zone in between a soft limit and a hard limit. Say the soft limit will be like 2 hours and the hard limit is above 2 days. Okay, so somewhere in between, I'd like to have some control. I don't want to reject it automatically, but I don't want to allow it automatically. I want to see, okay, why are you asking it for that duration? It's not just duration. It can be any kind of value in between. Like, for instance, we have a policy for cost as well. So if we know that this environment is going to cost us somewhere in between, like, I don't know, $3 and $5, and okay, let's try to. I want to have. I want to have it approved. I want to have some manual control if it's going to be launched or not. Okay, so I want to do a short demo on it. So I'm going to go back to my end user session. And I want to try and launch this environment again, but for 1 day. Okay, so right now it says that approval required, meaning it wasn't automatically launched and it will be pending. Now let's say that uh, it's going to send a request for my boss so he will approve it. Depends on his mood, right? So I'm gonna click right here on the review request, and I can see this environment right now is pending for me. Okay, still pending. And now let's be the boss for a second. I can go right here to approval requests, and I can see it is, that was the old one. There's the new one that's assigned to me, and it's pending, and I need to approve it or reject. So that gives me a lot of control on what's going on in my cloud account. I can manually approve requests. And by the way, it doesn't need to be really manual because we're an API first solution. That's actually a good time to mention that everything you see right here has API and can be automated in a broader workflow. We have integrations with the most popular CI/CD systems right now, like Jenkins, GitHub Action, Azure DevOps. We even have a Terraform provider. So everything here can be automated. And the icing on this cake are reports, because sure, so I have this control, but I really want to also make it visible and see what's going on in my account. So we have reports both on activities and both on activities and cost. Those can be at the space level or even in the account level. Okay, so I have like a very detailed cost report on what's going on in this space. It can be like I have metrics on cost by blueprints or cost by environment, by owner. I know I will know who's my most expensive worker. And in activity, I also have like I can see trends and environment status. So if something is wrong and I all of a sudden see a lot of environments that weren't provisioned successfully, I'm going to see it right here. Because I have full visibility on what's going on in my account. I'll go to account settings. Okay, I have reports right here on, say, the activity. Okay. So I think it's time for a Q&A. I think I covered everything I wanted to discuss.
Yes, that was great.
So let's go with questions. Thank you.
All right, yep. And we got a couple came in. Everybody else, please feel free if you have any questions remaining, send them through the Q&A. Really quickly before we start the questions, we're also going to drop a link to our new Torque Playground. This recently went live. It is a fully functional application that'll allow you to launch actual application environments that are built on Quali's cloud accounts. So go in there, feel free to play around with the tool. You can go in and see what the deployment process is like. You can design your own environments. You can view some of these reports that Amir has shown and really get your hands on the product. Okay, so one of the first questions we got was about ServiceNow integrations. Does Torque integrate with ServiceNow?
Sure. So the answer is yes. And I'm going to show, we have a very detailed documentation on how to integrate with ServiceNow. So maybe we can add this to the chat as well, a link. We'll show it right from here. Community, ServiceNow. Okay, and we have documentation on how exactly we integrate with ServiceNow. Very good question.
Yep, that's perfect. And Corey on the back end here can drop that in the chat for everybody as well. And that is our approvals workflow triggers with ServiceNow, correct,
Mhm.
Amir?
Yeah, yeah.
Great. Um, we had a question about cloud account credentials, and I think that was, we went through the deployment process pretty quickly, but I think how
Mhm.
we compare with some the Terraform automation, IAC management tools. Could you explain how Torque manages credentials for cloud accounts?
Okay, so yeah, there are multiple ways of authenticating to the cloud. The most secured way and best practice is through workload identity federation, through service accounts that will assume certain roles that will allow them to do what they need in the cloud accounts. Um, but first things first, maybe it's better to mention that, first of all, we're an agent-based solution. So you will need to deploy an agent to be able to use Torque and launch environments on your cloud account. And that agent will have uh, the proper basically it will be deployed on your on some compute service like Kubernetes. Uh, that's the recommended way. You can also use Docker, but that agent, he will basically talk with Torque and will listen to the requests coming from Torque to run workloads that will provision resources in your cloud account.
Thank you,
And
Amir.
other than that, just a second, it's also
Oh,
another way
sorry.
of no, no problem. Um, Another way of storing credentials to cloud is through this view right here is the credential store. So you can add credentials for AWS or Azure, for instance. So you can store the access keys right here to your cloud account.
We
Okay.
also just got a question about support for OpenTofu, and this is actually a pretty good time for this question.
Mhm.
I know we've already dropped a few links in the chat, but we just released some new updates for OpenTofu. So I'll drop that in the chat and I'll let Amir address the question live on the line here.
Yeah, so I can open the chat and see it in the or in the Q&A.
I know, Amir, the question was just whether we Torque supports OpenTofu
Oh, yeah.
as a grain.
Then so definitely, yeah, we support OpenTofu.
Okay, there's only one other question here. Oh, actually, this question goes into Terraform as well. Sorry, I had a group next to
Mhm.
OpenTofu. What versions of Terraform do we support?
Okay, so we support all versions of Terraform. For versions higher than 1.55, the recommended way is to reference some binary that you will host. Um, but again, we also support OpenTofu.
Perfect. I'm not seeing anything else, and we are just about at 30 minutes.
Mhm.
So I want to thank you, Amir, for taking
Thank
the
you.
time. Thank you to all of our audience, everyone for taking the time to join us today. And thank you to Corey on the back end for making everything work for us. Always appreciate it. You can go and test out work at the playground, learn more, watch some of our demo videos at quali.com. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.